Yes guys, welcome from me, this is Championship Manager 0102. It's been a while, but we have finally got another player profile. Now, I cherry picked this one myself literally about 5 minutes ago. And the reason I chose this guy, as you can see right there, is because I was able to fire up my network game with Matt, and knowing that this guy is still going, 17 seasons in. And there he is, right before you, Jermaine Defoe. So we'll be able to give you a good in-depth in terms of his CM credentials. But before we start with CM credentials, let's just talk about Jermaine Defoe as a person. I was a really big fan of Defoe. I always rated Jermaine Defoe. I thought he was fucking brilliant. And just to show my age now, because I remember back to when he made his breakthrough, but it weren't at West Ham that I'm thinking. It was actually like sort of one season when he had a loan spell with Bournemouth. And I remember seeing this guy scoring lots of goals. I think he got 18 in 29 for Bournemouth. And I thought, what a fucking player. And I watched him, and he was he was like your typical old-fashioned striker. And he never really let me down in his performance. Probably didn't have the career he could have had. And he probably didn't have the career that CM portrayed him as. But I think as a, he was always, it was always a quality player. He was always someone that I would have in my setup, definitely. From West Ham, I think 90-odd games, 30-odd goals. So I know that's sort of 1 in 3. I know it's not the greatest. And it was a similar sort of record at Tottenham. It was like 140-odd goals. And it was about, 140-odd games, 139 games. And about 40-odd goals. So the record wasn't brilliant. But then, of course, he had another spell at Spurs. He had a second spell at Spurs where it was a very, very similar sort of goal ratio. He had another 130-odd games at Spurs. So, generally speaking, he was very much a Spurs legend, but a lot of people call him West Ham legend because he starts at West Ham, and he was at West Ham with the youngsters, along with a lot of those players, like Frank Lampard, Rio Ferdinand, Michael Carrick, back in the days when they had a fucking real good, prosperous setup. Now, of course, in 2017, he ended up back at Bournemouth, funnily enough, after being let go by Sunderland. It was a little bit of a journeyman towards the back end of his career, and I don't like to see that in players. I like to see them sign off at the top. And personally, and I stress this personally, I'd like to have seen him sign off in 2014. Now, whilst that would have been 31 years of age and he could probably still do a job, he was playing for Toronto, and he only had a really shitty little spell. I think it must have been a loan or something, because it was only like 11 in 19. But then it was Sunderland, then it was Bournemouth. And then I read something which I didn't actually realise. Now, I thought he finished his career with, Rangers. And not in 2019 to 2020, he still hit 21 goals in 37 games for Rangers. Now, I think everyone's got their views about Scottish football, including myself, but the bottom line is he still hit 20-odd goals. That's a good ratio. And then, of course, in 2022, another, that was 2019 to 2020. I think he was on loan there from Bournemouth, but I think some of the info that I've read up, I think is a little bit sort of obscure. But I didn't realise that in 2022, so only last year, that he had 7 games for Sunderland. So I didn't realise. I thought he retired after Rangers. But do you know what? I knew he was going, and he was one of those players that I don't like to see retire. But you know what? I'm contradicting myself here because I don't want to see him go lower and lower. I wanted to see him. I don't know. I would like to see. I know he did a lot of stuff for charity as well. Of course, I know he sponsored a child who sadly passed away, and he's done so much of charity. He really is an inspiration, and I think he's had quite a bit of tragedy in his own sort of personal life. In terms of internationally, I was quite pleasantly surprised. I mean, 57 caps for England, 20 goals. And, it's not too bad. And also, he came through the ranks for England. He had 8 games for under-16s. He had 7 more for under-18s, 23 for under-21s, and 57 for England. And the reason I like to see things like that on players, right, and it's pretty much selfish, because as a Peterborough United born and bred, we have a player called Ronnie Edwards, and I've been keeping tracks on him. He's been he's played for England under 16s, 17s, 18s, 20s. He hasn't broken to the under 21s yet. And shockingly, yesterday I read about Spurs and Newcastle were looking at him, which fucking pisses me off because it's Peterborough's best player. So yeah, as a player, you know, I think he's quite an inspiration. He's the model professional. He really is a model professional. And as I said, he's had to deal with a lot of shit in his personal life, which hasn't derailed him in terms of from his professional career. Whilst he kicked off at West Ham, his youth career was actually at Charlton, just so you know. Now, one thing I did research up, which I never knew, and I'm hoping someone might have to shed some light in this, but 2 years ago, 2021, he was caretaker manager of Rangers. I didn't even fucking know that. I don't even have no details as to how many games he had, but I didn't know that at all, which is a shitter, really, because I would like to see him get up. You know, there's certain players who I feel deserve a pot shot if they want it. And then you get these bastards, right, like Mark Hughes, who seems to just fall on his feet and get his jobs, or Frank Lampard, who ends up getting sacked and gets a job and gets sacked, and it pisses me off. But then you get players who deserve it. I mean, I would like to see John Terry get a job. Yeah, all right, John Terry, I know he's a bit of a cunt in terms of women and people's wives, but John Terry hasn't been, you know, I almost admire Terry for going for the coaching badges and being an assistant and so on and so on. So, you know, we'll see how that goes. Now, back to Jermaine Defoe in respect of his CM credentials. So this game is fired up. We're well into season 17 and he is still going. Incidentally, he's at my team. And you'll find, I haven't looked at this, but you'll find most of his history will be all in playable leagues. Let's go for it then. So, West Ham season 1. Do you know what? I do my research, right, about what he did. And I forget that it's on here about the Bournemouth thing there. So, West Ham season 1. I mean, he didn't do well. He didn't do bad in season 1 at all for such a young age. So Leeds, he made a move to Leeds. Look at that. Yeah, did well. So he's very, very prolific. Not really utilised as a starter, though. I mean, when a player's getting a lot of subs, I mean, look at that. In 08, 09, 36 starts. He had a cracker, didn't he? Yeah, absolute cracker. I'm not sure what the fuck happened the following season, though, because we're going to check that in a minute. He must have been injured. We'll check that in a moment. Leverkusen, got a big money move to Leverkusen, but sometimes you just don't adapt, do you? And it weren't the greatest season. 12 million move to Rangers. Now, Rangers, actually, I got that wrong because I haven't got Scotland as an open playable league, so probably not really a true reflection. Germany I have, so did very well in Germany. Very, very prolific. I won't say he's Shevchenko quality or Vieri, but certainly does a job. Let's have a look at 09-10 then, where he must have... No, he wasn't injured at all. So what the fuck happened in 09-10 is beyond me. I don't know what happened there then. Probably why. I mean, doesn't even explain why he left for such a big amount, because I don't know. But yeah, he's very, very... I mean, even at 35 years of age... he can still do a job. I mean, I've kept him in my game as purely a backup, and he'll probably retire out this game at the end of the current season. So yeah, that's that then. Jermaine Defoe, I mean, for me, maybe not an England legend, or maybe not a legend in certain senses. I think, for me, he falls into the legend category for... a bit of many reasons, I find. A bit of many reasons. I really want to see him. I'm not sure if he's really got what it takes to be a manager. Has he got that sort of discipline? I don't know. I don't know him personally, and I haven't heard too much on interviews. You know, like you can hear interviews and you can see a player and think, has he got what it takes? Like if I was to say, let's look at Beckham. Well, he fucking hasn't, has he? You know, he hasn't got the credentials to fucking be a pupil in fucking primary school. Paul Gascoigne, well, he's got the credentials to be a barman. Alan Shearer has. Gary Neville has, even though he failed. But, you know, I don't really know much about Jermaine Defoe in terms of, like, I don't know how articulate he is and stuff like that. So that's that then. That is Jermaine Defoe. And if you've got any player profiles that you would like to be seen done, someone sent me a request about a player, and I apologise because I've deleted the screenshot and I can't remember where the comment is, and I'm fucked if I'm going through all my fucking videos and all the comments. So if you have got a request of a player, do let me know. And until next time from me, guys, take it easy.